Chapter 81 Little Violent Bear Advancement. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The little violent bear was not afraid at all. Facing the low-level 5th-level giant tongue beast, it did not retreat but rushed towards the latter. Roar! The little violent bear roared, raised its sharp claws, and grabbed the giant tongue beast's body. This giant tongue beast is a low-level 5th-level monster beast. The long tongue it spits out is also much larger and longer than other giant tongue beasts. When the giant tongue beast was still more than 10 feet away from the little violent bear, it spit out its long tongue and rolled it madly towards the little violent bear, as if it wanted to kill the latter instantly. When the giant tongue beast's long tongue hit the little violent bear's body, the little violent bear's sharp claws also grabbed the giant tongue beast's body. Bang, bang. Two dull sounds. The little violent bear's sharp claws grabbed the giant tongue beast's body fiercely, leaving several bright red blood marks. This claw also scratched the giant tongue beast's body. However, the giant tongue beast's long tongue also hit the little violent bear's body fiercely. The huge force directly blasted the latter away. The little violent bear had thick skin and flesh, and he actually resisted it, but if the attack was on Lin Chen, I am afraid that even if Lin Chen did not die, he would be seriously injured on the spot. That the little violent bear and the giant tongue beast attacked together. On the other side, Lin Chen also instantly performed the eagle strike transformation, and his figure flashed around the giant tongue beast. At the same time, he swung the cold iron sword in his hand quickly. 7-star chain sword. Phantom sword. Martial arts were performed continuously. Bang bang. The cold iron sword slashed fiercely on the giant tongue beast. At this moment, the giant tongue beast was fighting against the little violent bear, but it could not be distracted to deal with Lin Chen. However, Lin Chen's 2 attacks on the giant tongue beast only left 2 blood marks on it, and the injuries caused were negligible to the giant tongue beast. Seeing this, Lin Chen's eyes narrowed. What a strong defense, that this giant tongue beast is best at strangling, and defense is not its strong point. But after all, it is a low-level monster of level 5. Even if its defense is average, it is not something that ordinary warriors can deal with. It is difficult to deal with this low-level giant tongue beast of level 5 with the 7-star chain sword and the phantom sword alone. Lin Chen did not hesitate much. At this moment, the little violent bear was fighting with the giant tongue beast more and more fiercely, but the little violent bear was only a top-level monster of level 4 after all. If it continued like this, even if the little violent bear had strong defense, it would not be able to withstand the attack of the giant tongue beast and eventually die here. Lin Chen exhaled, slowly raised the cold iron sword in his hand, and then, his body suddenly rushed forward. Eagle strike changed 3rd style, eagle strike. He was like a giant eagle, swooping down crazily. At the same time, the strands of sword energy in Lin Chen's body all surged out and covered the cold iron sword. As much as 80% of the sword power covered the cold iron sword, and the cold iron sword trembled slightly. Ding ding ding. A series of crisp and pleasant sounds came from the cold iron sword. Since Lin Chen mastered 80% of the sword power, this was the first time he released the sword power with all his strength. Cut! Lin Chen shouted. As the voice fell, the giant tongue beast, which was originally fighting with the little violent bear, turned around suddenly, ignoring the attack of the little violent bear, and turned to deal with Lin Chen. Obviously, this giant tongue beast also felt the threat of Lin Chen's sword. The giant tongue beast stretched out its tongue to resist Lin Chen's attack. Crack! The next moment, Lin Chen's cold iron sword stood on the giant tongue beast's long tongue. The huge attack power directly made Lin Chen's cold iron sword cut into the giant tongue beast's long tongue. GG. Immediately, a sharp pain came from the long tongue of the giant tongue beast. The giant tongue beast is a low-level 5th-level monster with strong strength, but Lin Chen's attack still cut off half of the giant tongue beast's long tongue. The whole long tongue was almost half hanging in the air and could no longer form an attack. However, after performing this attack, Lin Chen's face turned pale. It would take at least several days to recover the sword energy in his body, just as Lin Chen used this attack to severely injure the giant tongue beast. On the other side, the little violent bear also pounced on the giant tongue beast and raised its claws to attack frantically. "Don't stop!" Seeing the little violent bear continue to attack, Lin Chen immediately shouted and raised the cold iron sword in his hand again. After all, this giant tongue beast is a low-level 5th-level monster beast. Even if it is severely injured, the deterrence and attack power generated by its explosion are definitely not something that a top-level 4th-level monster beast can resist. Bang, 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 Lin Chen slashed several times in succession, and each sword landed on the long tongue of the giant tongue beast, cutting off a strand of its long tongue again. And the sharp claws of the little violent bear also fell on the head of the giant tongue beast. Being beaten so violently, the giant tongue beast could only roar repeatedly, but could not fight back at all. After attacking frantically for nearly half an hour, the giant tongue beast finally wailed and fell to the ground and died. Level 5 low-level monster beasts are really not so easy to deal with. Seeing the death of the giant tongue beast, Lin Chen couldn't help but sigh. At this moment, his face was very pale and he needed to adjust his breath urgently. The little violent bear on the side was excited and overjoyed when he saw this situation. He looked at Lin Chen gratefully, and then grabbed the body of the giant tongue beast and swallowed all the essence of the flesh and blood in it. After swallowing the giant tongue beast, the little violent bear immediately lay on the ground and fell asleep. This guy. Lin Chen shook his head, took out a middle-grade chi-gathering pill, and sat cross-legged on the spot to practice breathing. Time passed little by little, and when Lin Chen opened his eyes, it was already 2 hours later. The chi in his body had been fully replenished, and a trace of sword power had also been restored. Turning his head to look at the little violent bear was still lying on the ground at this moment, and his breath was stable. However, as time went by, the breath of the little violent bear became more and more intense, and the spiritual energy of heaven and earth around its body gathered more and more. The third day, Lin Chen was sitting cross-legged on the ground practicing hard, and suddenly, a strong wind blew. At the same time, Lin Chen only felt a stream of spiritual energy of heaven and earth coming to his nose, which was extremely strong. He opened his eyes in surprise, turned his head to look at the little violent bear beside him, and saw that the spiritual energy of heaven and earth within a radius of tens of thousands of meters all rushed to the little violent bear. The extremely strong spiritual energy of heaven and earth even formed a small tornado on the edge of the little violent bear's body. Hiss, this guy actually gathered so much spiritual energy of heaven and earth when he broke through. Lin Chen took a breath, gathering so much spiritual energy of heaven and earth, it was obvious that the little violent bear was going to break through. However, such a big noise was not a good thing. The little guy made such a big noise when he broke through. The warriors around him would probably rush over immediately if they noticed it, that when the monster advances, it is the best time to kill it. At this time, the monsters are often weak in resistance and can be slaughtered by others. Therefore, most monsters will choose a relatively safe place to advance. Lin Chen turned his head and looked at the little violent bear. After swallowing the blood and flesh essence of the 5th-level low-level giant tongue beast, now is the perfect time for the little violent bear to break through. If it misses it, it is unknown how long it will take to break through. And the little violent bear originally wanted to break through as soon as possible, and then return to the cave to smash the rock. If the little guy's breakthrough is interrupted now, then it doesn't know when it wants to smash the rock. Don't let anyone disturb the little guy's breakthrough. The little violent bear advanced from the top level of the 4th level to the low level of the 5th level. The breakthrough is a big realm, which takes a long time. Sure enough, not long after, 2 running sounds came from outside the grassland, and at the same time, a surprised voice fell into Lin Chen's ears. Hey, it turned out that the 4th level top level violent bear advanced to the 5th level low level monster. The visitors were 2 young men in the early stage of the Tiangang realm. One of the slightly younger young men saw the little violent bear and was overjoyed and laughed non-stop. We are lucky. This violent bear is just about to break through. It has no resistance. We take the opportunity to kill it. This kind of top-level 4th-level monster that is about to break through can sell a lot of spirit stones. The older young man also showed a look of surprise on his face, and then said with joy, as the two of them spoke, they drew their weapons, but they wanted to use them to kill the little violent bear, but they did not notice Lin Chen, who was sitting cross-legged in the grass. This patch of grass was extremely dense, and some places were even several meters high. Lin Chen was sitting cross-legged in it. If you don't look carefully, it would be difficult to find him. At this moment, their attention was all on the little violent bear, so they didn't find Lin Chen. Seeing this, Lin Chen frowned. It was really a case of mentioning the devil. He slowly stood up and shouted, "Stop! Yes, there is someone." Hearing Lin Chen's low shout, the two were shocked, stopped suddenly, and turned to look at Lin Chen. When they saw that Lin Chen was only in the middle stage of the 8th level of the body refining realm, they couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Originally, they didn't notice Lin Chen, but if the latter suddenly attacked them, then the two would be in big trouble. Although they were a little confused about how Lin Chen, a warrior in the middle stage of the 8th level of the body refining realm, came here, the two didn't care much. One of them laughed and said, "You are quite brave, you dare to let us stop. Boy, get out of here quickly. If you delay our chance to kill this violent bear, I will take your life." Lin Chen looked at the two men. They were both young men in their 20s, wearing the clothes of the inner disciples of the Chunyang sect. Seeing this, Lin Chen couldn't help but say, "Inner disciples of the Chunyang sect? He, it seems that you have some knowledge and can recognize the identities of the two of us. Boy, get out quickly." The man heard Lin Chen's words, his expression immediately became arrogant, and he waved his hand impatiently. The two men did not recognize Lin Chen's identity. After several days of continuous fighting, Lin Chen's Tianji Sect inner disciple uniform had long been broken. Now he was wearing just ordinary coarse linen clothes, which were quite simple. In the eyes of the two men, it attracted even more contempt. After hearing what the two men said, Lin Chen frowned slightly and whispered, "I will give you 3 breaths to disappear from my sight immediately." Hearing this, the two were stunned and then burst into laughter. One of them said with some amusement, "This kid's brain must be burned, otherwise how could he say such a thing? But this kid is lucky. He actually walked to this place alive with the cultivation of the 8th middle stage of the body refining realm. This is the deeper part of the Malian mountains. The monsters that appear here are extremely powerful. Generally, only the inner disciples of the big sects dare to come here together. Warriors like the body refining realm may have died under other monsters before they come in." The other person nodded and laughed, "Well, kid, even though that's what I said, since we can meet here, it's fate. Come, let's make friends." As he spoke, the young man slowly walked towards Lin Chen, but Lin Chen clearly saw that there was a hint of murderous intent in the young man's eyes, and his hand seemed to fall on the sword at his waist inadvertently. Seeing this scene, the corners of Lin Chen's mouth rose slightly. Chapter 82, The Genius Disciple of the Chunyang Sect. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lin Chen glanced at the young man and said in a low voice, "You'd better stand still, otherwise you can't bear the consequences." The young man who was walking towards Lin Chen was stunned. He originally wanted to kill Lin Chen while he was not paying attention, but he didn't expect Lin Chen to discover his intention. After a pause, he chuckled and said, "Boy, you have a good eye. But it doesn't matter if you find out, anyway, you will become a dead man soon." The young man laughed softly, and the sword on his waist was pulled out with a clang, and then without saying a word, he slashed at Lin Chen with a sword, bang. But the next moment, the young man suddenly saw a flash of sword light in front of him, and then a huge force hit his long sword. With a bang, the long sword in his hand was knocked out, and his body was also knocked away. Puff being hit by such a blow, the young man immediately spurted out a mouthful of blood, and looked at Lin Chen with a pale face and shock. Originally, he saw that Lin Chen was only in the middle of the 8th level of the body refining realm, so he used 50% of his true energy to perform the sword attack just now. However, even so, the attack of 50% of the true energy of the young man in the early stage of the Tiangang realm was definitely not something that a warrior in the middle of the 8th level of the body refining realm could resist. However, his attack not only failed to kill Lin Chen, but was counterattacked by the latter, and the young man himself was injured. How is this possible? The older young man on the other side looked at Lin Chen in disbelief, as if he thought he had seen it wrong. Only the middle of the 8th level of the body refining realm, a sword repelled a warrior in the early stage of the Tiangang realm. You must know that the strength of warriors of the same level of cultivation is divided into different levels, not to mention that Lin Chen and the young man are several levels apart in cultivation, and are not at the same level at all. "Let's go together and kill him," that the older young man growled, also drew out his long sword, and attacked Lin Chen. However, he was fast, and Lin Chen was even faster. The young man just raised his sword, and Lin Chen's figure flashed and disappeared. At the same time, a puff sound was heard. The young man who wanted to surprise Lin Chen opened his eyes wide and fell straight to the ground. On his chest, there was a bright red blood hole that could be seen through at a glance. In front of him, Lin Chen stood there motionless, looking at the young man with a calm expression. "Kill instantly." Seeing this, the expression of another slightly older young man suddenly became ugly. The man killed by Lin Chen was his good friend in the inner sect of Tianling Sect, but he was killed by Lin Chen with 2 swords. More importantly, the man's cultivation strength was not much different from that of the young man, and Lin Chen killed the person in front with 2 swords, so he also had the strength to kill him. "Asshole, asshole. Boy, you dare to kill the sect disciples, you are dead." The young man roared in anger, and then he turned around, but wanted to escape. If Lin Chen can kill his friend, then he also has the strength to kill him. Lin Chen had no expression on his face, and he was too lazy to talk nonsense with him. He raised the cold iron sword in his hand and was about to attack. Whoosh, the sword wind whistled, and the young man's face immediately turned panicked when he heard the sound. He growled, "Stop. I am an inner disciple of Chunyang Sect. If you kill me, I swear that Chunyang Sect will hunt you down to the end." Generally speaking, it is inevitable that there will be casualties when the sect disciples are outside. If they die at the hands of monsters, it can only be blamed on the disciples' lack of strength. If they are killed by other warriors, once the sect knows about it, they will definitely put this person on the blacklist, and once they meet, they will be killed without mercy. After hearing this, Lin Chen's eyes turned cold. If Lin Chen did not exceed the strength of these 2 people in the conflict between them, I am afraid that he would be lying on the ground now. Moreover, if Lin Chen lets this man go now, the latter will definitely tell Chunyang Sect about Lin Chen. At that time, Lin Chen will really face the pursuit of Chunyang Sect disciples. Without any hesitation, Lin Chen slashed at the older youth with a sword. Seeing this scene, the older youth roared angrily and raised the long sword in his hand, trying to resist Lin Chen's attack. Bang, a dull sound rang out. Then, the body of the older youth was seen retreating backwards, and finally fell to the ground with a pale face. With a puff, the older youth spurted out a mouthful of blood. Obviously, he was seriously injured by Lin Chen's sword. Immediately, the face of the older youth became horrified and regretful. Originally, seeing that Lin Chen was only in the middle stage of the 8th level of the body refining realm, he thought that his strength was just so. Who knew that Lin Chen's strength was stronger than both of them? Now one person is dead and the other is seriously injured and fell to the ground. If Lin Chen continues to attack, the older youth will surely die here. Thinking of this, the older youth roared madly, "Boy! Even if I die, I won't let you have an easy time." After saying that, a crystal stone suddenly appeared in the older youth's hand, and then he glared at Lin Chen viciously, squeezed hard, and the crystal stone was crushed on the spot. Seeing this scene, Lin Chen frowned immediately. The crystal stone that the older youth crushed was the communication stone used by warriors to communicate with each other. If the older youth crushed the communication stone, the news of his distress would be passed on, and then, I'm afraid many people will come here to investigate. And at this moment, the little violent bear is still at a critical moment of advancement, and must not be disturbed by others. Seeing Lin Chen frowning, the older youth laughed with relief and growled, "Boy, are you scared now? I tell you, if you leave now, you may still be able to save your life, otherwise." Before the older youth finished speaking, a flash of sword light suddenly appeared in front of him, and the cold iron sword in Lin Chen's hand had already pierced into the older youth's chest. The older youth's eyes widened, and he let out a sad roar. His body twitched twice and he died on the spot. Lin Chen wiped the cold iron sword in his hand clean, and then frowned as he looked at the bodies of the two inner disciples of the Chunyang sect in front of him. Just now, this man crushed the communication stone. I'm afraid it won't take long for the nearby Chunyang sect disciples to rush over. Lin Chen was not sure whether this man's communication stone was passing the message to the Chunyang sect or to other disciples. If the message was passed to the Chunyang sect, then things would be much more troublesome. Lin Chen shook his head slightly, without thinking too much, and swept out his soul power, covering the bodies of the two people, and searched quickly. Lin Chen found more than 20 rings from the bodies of the two men, many of which did not contain the aura of the two men. It can be seen that the two men killed many other warriors in the Malian mountains. In addition to many low-grade spiritual stones, there were also several bottles of medium-grade and high-grade qi-gathering pills in the more than 20 rings. What surprised Lin Chen even more was that there were several bottles of poison in one of the rings. Lin Chen took out one of the bottles of poison and dropped a drop on the ground. Immediately, a chi-chi-chi sound was heard, and a large area of grass and trees on the ground were eroded. Seeing this, Lin Chen took a breath of cold air. The poison was extremely toxic. If it was applied to a sword, the attack power it exerted would definitely be terrifying. Looking at the grass and trees on the ground eroded by the poison, Lin Chen had an idea and dropped the poison on the bodies of the two warriors. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Instantly, a slight erosion sound was heard on the grassland. After a moment, the bodies of the two disappeared completely. The wind blew away the smell of blood in the air. After doing this, Lin Chen turned his head and looked at the little violent bear not far away. Who? At this moment, the little violent bear was still in deep sleep, but every time the little violent bear breathed, it could absorb a large amount of spiritual energy from the heaven and earth. As it madly absorbed the spiritual energy from the heaven and earth, the little violent bear's breath became stronger, but it obviously takes some time to advance to the lower level of level 5. Seeing this, Lin Chen sat cross-legged on the grass, used the Qingming Xianyang Gong, and quickly absorbed the spiritual energy from the surrounding heaven and earth to practice. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth gathered around the little violent bear was extremely rich and huge. Lin Chen absorbed some of it, and it would not affect the breakthrough of the little violent bear, but before Lin Chen practiced for long, suddenly, a slight sound of breaking through the air came. Swoosh! The person who came seemed to deliberately suppress the movement of his arrival, and the sound of walking was very small. However, Lin Chen's soul power increased greatly, and his facial features were extremely sensitive, so even if the person who came deliberately suppressed the sound, Lin Chen still noticed the movement. Opening his eyes, Lin Chen still sat cross-legged and did not move, and the aura on his body was also suppressed to the extreme. The violent bear advanced. Just as Lin Chen opened his eyes, a light exclamation came. Judging from the voice, the person who came should be a young man around 18 years old. This person probably didn't expect that there would be a violent bear here advancing to a low-level 5th-level monster, so he suddenly spoke, but even so, the movement he had deliberately suppressed before was also exposed with his voice. As soon as the words came out, the man stopped immediately and stood motionless hundreds of feet away from the little violent bear. He sniffed lightly, frowned immediately, and said to himself, the smell of blood. It seems that the two junior brothers have suffered misfortune. On the other side, Lin Chen's ears moved, and he heard the words of the young warrior clearly. He was stunned, and then suddenly realized the two junior brothers mentioned by the young warrior should be the two inner disciples of Chunyang sect that Lin Chen killed before. However, after understanding this, Lin Chen became more alert. This person was very sensitive. The smell of blood in the air when Lin Chen killed the two inner disciples of Chunyang sect was blown away by the wind, but he still detected it. Lin Chen narrowed his eyes and looked at the young warrior. The young warrior looked younger than Lin Chen guessed. He was estimated to be only 17 years old. He was wearing the clothes of an inner disciple of Chunyang sect, carrying a big knife on his back, and his expression was alert. More importantly, his cultivation had reached the middle stage of Tiangang realm. At such a young age, he has raised his cultivation to the middle stage of Tiangang realm. This young warrior must be a genius inner disciple of Chunyang sect. It only took Lin Chen a blink of an eye to look at the young warrior, but in this blink of an eye, the young warrior turned around suddenly, pulled out the big knife with a clang, and faced the direction where Lin Chen was with a fierce look. "Come out," the young warrior said calmly with a blank expression on his face. Apparently, when Lin Chen was looking at the young warrior just now, the latter noticed Lin Chen's gaze and had already discovered where Lin Chen was. Chapter 85 The Murderer. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. There are many densely packed small characters engraved on this iron block. If you look at it with the naked eye, you can't see the handwriting on it clearly. Lin Chen also used his soul power to discover the characters. The reason why the little violent bear was so anxious to smash the rock was to get the piece of iron in Lin Chen's hand. This piece of iron is the key to open the trial place of the violent bear clan. In this cave, there is a violent bear trial site left over from ancient times, but this trial place has a time limit. It is only opened once every 10 years, and each opening time does not exceed 3 months. In other words, if the little violent bear keeps delaying like this, he will miss the opportunity to enter the trial place this time. Therefore, the little violent bear is so anxious to smash this rock. Seeing that Lin Chen has figured out the original situation, the little violent bear roared, his face full of gratitude. Just with the little violent bear alone, I am afraid that even if it advances to a low-level 5th-level monster, it will be difficult to break the light film on the rock and get the iron block in it. Seeing this, Lin Chen shook his head and said with a smile, "Little guy, practice well after entering, otherwise, be careful that I will surpass you next time." Roar. The little violent bear roared with disdain, as if he thought that Lin Chen's cultivation could not surpass it. Lin Chen smiled lightly and handed the iron block and long stick in his hand to the little violent bear. The latter immediately raised his claws and caught the iron block in Lin Chen's hand, but as for the long stick, it did not move at all. Roar. After the little violent bear caught the iron block, its 2 claws gestured in front of Lin Chen for a while, and finally fixed its eyes on the long stick in Lin Chen's hand. After understanding what the little violent bear meant, Lin Chen couldn't help laughing and said, "Little guy, do you want to give this long stick to me?" Hearing this, the little violent bear nodded immediately, and then it turned around suddenly and put the iron block in its hand into a concave and convex stone wall in front of it. Boom. As the iron block was put in, there was a loud noise in the cave, and the ground shook, as if there was an earthquake. Then, at the end of the cave, which was originally a rock wall, a bottomless tunnel appeared. Roar, roar, roar. The little violent bear looked excited. He took down the iron block, turned around and threw it to Lin Chen, and then walked straight into the bottomless tunnel. As the little violent bear entered, the tunnel disappeared immediately. Seeing this, Lin Chen couldn't help but take a breath. It turned out to be a space secret realm, that on the Tianling Continent, some warriors who have reached a certain level of cultivation can use some space fragments to create a space secret realm. And the tunnel that the little violent bear entered is the passage to the space secret realm. This space secret realm is a trial place specially prepared for the little violent bear. So what level of strength has the violent bear that created this secret realm reached? Thinking of this, Lin Chen's heart couldn't help but surge. Suddenly, his mind moved, and he set his eyes on the iron block that the little violent bear handed to him when he entered the tunnel. Before, Lin Chen only noticed the words on the iron block, but he did not carefully examine the iron block. Now, after a careful inspection, Lin Chen immediately noticed something strange. Lin Chen could not see the material of this object at all, but the more so, the more it proved that this object was the space fragment that created the space secret realm. This kind of treasure is hard to come by. If others know that I have a piece of space fragment, I am afraid there will be a lot of trouble. For the warriors of Tianling Continent, space fragments are precious and rare. If Lin Chen gets the news of a piece of space fragment and passes it on, I am afraid that it will attract crazy pursuit. After all, this kind of thing is too important for high-level warriors. The warriors of Tiangang realm are crazy about it, and the warriors of Zhendao realm are flocking to it. Lin Chen's soul power moved, and he put the space fragment into the storage spirit ring, and then he raised his hand and raised the long stick. This long stick is extremely hard, nearly 2 meters long, black in material, and feels quite cold to the touch. Lin Chen's heart moved. And he raised the long stick and smashed it towards the ground in front of him, boom. A dull sound. Then, a large area of land in front of him was smashed into a 1-meter deep pit. Seeing this, Lin Chen couldn't help but take a breath and said in amazement, "What a strong attack power. I just attacked casually just now, but it still has such power, that a casual attack can smash such a deep pit in the ground. If it were a cold iron sword, I'm afraid it would be difficult for Lin Chen to do this even if he used martial arts. This long stick is definitely a treasure that is hard to come by. More importantly, with this long stick in hand, even if Lin Chen does not use sword power, he can be invincible when facing a warrior in the middle or even late stage of the Tiangang realm." Little Violent Bear gave Lin Chen 2 treasures. Thinking of this, Lin Chen smiled and looked up at the corridor that had just disappeared. The corridor leads to the trial place of Little Violent Bear. Lin Chen is a human warrior and will encounter strong resistance if he enters it. But Lin Chen didn't care much. He said loudly, "Little guy, thank you for your gift. You practice well. I'm leaving." Not long after Lin Chen's voice fell, suddenly, the roaring sound of the Little Violent Bear rang out in the cave, as if it was stereo, coming from all directions. Seeing this, Lin Chen nodded slightly, then jumped and ran straight out of the cave. After a while, Lin Chen came to the ground. It was already late at night, and it was the time when the monsters in the Malian mountains were most frequent. Lin Chen did not dare to walk around at will, so he found a big tree to rest near the crack. After a night of silence, in the early morning, a roar of a monster suddenly sounded. Upon hearing the sound, Lin Chen immediately opened his eyes and looked towards the place where the sound came from. Then he saw, hundreds of feet away from him, a 4th-level high-level monster staring coldly at Lin Chen on the big tree, making a low whine from its mouth. This 4th-level high-level monster resembles a wolf and a leopard, with jet black hair all over its body and a strong build. And the eyes it looked at Lin Chen were also full of hostility. It is the 4th-level high-level monster Black Panther. Seeing this, Lin Chen's eyes suddenly lit up and he shouted, "You're here just in time. Just give me a try on the power of the long stick." With a movement of soul power, the long black stick appeared in Lin Chen's hand. Then, he kicked hard with his feet and landed firmly on the ground. Woohoo! The moment Lin Chen fell, the big Black Panther let out a low cry, and its body rushed forward, opening its huge mouth, revealing sharp and shining saw teeth, as if it wanted to bite Lin Chen in two. Although Lin Chen failed to inject his true energy into this long stick, the hardness of this long stick alone was enough to deal with the big Black Panther. Lin Chen's long stick fell. When the big Black Panther saw it, his body dodged quickly and he could barely avoid Lin Chen's attack. Seeing this, Lin Chen swept the long stick in his hand again and attacked the big Black Panther from another direction. This big Black Panther is a 4th-level high-level monster, and its speed is quite fast. However, Lin Chen has now practiced the bronze body refining technique to the 3rd level of broken copper rebirth, and the speed at which he wields the long stick is also extremely strange. For a moment, with the speed of the big Black Panther, it was actually impossible to get close to Lin Chen's body. However, this was not the result Lin Chen wanted. It was not difficult for Lin Chen to kill the big Black Panther, but he wanted to try the power of the long stick. Otherwise, the big Black Panther would have died by his sword. With a thought in his heart, Lin Chen stood motionless on the spot, the long stick in his hand standing aside. It seems that he has given up his defense. The big Black Panther seemed to realize this perfect opportunity. It dodged its body, opened its mouth and bit Lin Chen hard again. With the powerful bite force of the big panther, if Lin Chen was wasted, the latter would be injured instantly. The big Black Panther was very fast. In the blink of an eye, he rushed to a place less than 10 meters away from Lin Chen. But at this moment, Lin Chen, who was motionless, suddenly grabbed the long stick and slammed it down on the big Black Panther. After all, this big Black Panther is just a monster and has no intelligence. Suddenly seeing Lin Chen attacking, the big Black Panther couldn't help but panic. But this panic didn't last long. Lin Chen's long stick struck hard. Hit it on the head, boom. A dull voice sounded. Immediately afterwards, the big Black Panther that was rushing towards Lin Chen suddenly fell down, and its huge head was smashed to pieces. The big Black Panther didn't even grunt and died on the spot. Seeing this scene, even though Lin Chen had a certain estimate of the power of the long stick, he couldn't help but feel surprised when he saw it now. This big black panther is a 4th level high-level monster, but he was still killed by him with a stick. The power of this stick can be imagined. Without thinking much, Lin Chen put away the long stick and was about to clean up the body of the big panther, but at this moment, a loud noise suddenly came. Senior Brother Yang, we have been searching around here for a long time, but we still haven't found the murderer who killed Junior Brother Xiao. Could it be that person has left? The voice was a little rough. Hearing this, the person with a rough voice who called him Senior Brother Yang snorted, Junior Brother Xiao is a genius disciple of the inner sect. Some time ago, the sect planned to focus on training Junior Brother Xiao, and some elders even said for a few years, Junior Brother Xiao still had hope of becoming a core disciple. Now he is killed in the wild. We must find this murderer no matter what. Hearing this, the voice became somewhat silent, and suddenly, another voice sounded, Hey, 2 senior brothers, there is someone in front of you. When the other 2 heard this, they were immediately shocked and ran towards Lin Chen. A moment later, a total of 3 people appeared in front of Lin Chen. These 3 people are all wearing the clothes of disciples of the Tianling Sect, and they are all in the middle stage of Tiangang realm. When the 3 of them saw Lin Chen, one of them frowned and said in a low voice, Junior Brother Xiao is in the middle stage of Tiangang realm, and this guy is only in the middle stage of the 8th level of body refining realm. There is a huge difference in cultivation. He is not the murderer. Hearing this, the burly young man with a rough voice nodded slightly and said, but he is not far from the place where Junior Brother Xiao was killed. Let's ask him. Maybe he saw the murderer passing by. Obviously, he also believed that Lin Chen was weak in cultivation and could not be the opponent of Junior Brother Xiao as he called him. Chapter 86 Suspicion. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Lin Chen frowned slightly when he heard the conversation between the 3 people. The Junior Brother Xiao they were talking about was probably the Xiao Zian he killed before. After all, these 3 people and Xiao Zian are all disciples of the Chunyang Sect, and before Xiao Zian died, he also said that he came to the Malian Mountains with other fellow disciples. At this moment, he died here, with his fellow disciples who were traveling with him would naturally come to look for the murderer. However, Lin Chen did not expect that these 3 people would arrive so quickly. You must know that the Malian mountain range is extremely vast, and it is also some distance away from the place where Xiao Zian died. However, less than a day passed before these 3 people tracked down here we are. Just as Lin Chen was thinking for a moment, suddenly, the bulliest young man shouted, Boy, have you seen any powerful warriors passing by during this time? In the eyes of the burly young man, the person who could kill Xiao Zian must also be a powerful person. Hearing Lin Chen's words, Lin Chen shook his head slightly. Except for Lin Chen himself, there are no other warriors nearby. After all, this place is slightly deep in the Malian Mountains, and ordinary warriors do not dare to come here. Seeing Lin Chen like this, the burly young man's eyes suddenly showed a hint of disappointment. He shook his head and said, Senior Brother Yang, Junior Brother Wang, let's go. It seems that the murderer of Junior Brother Xiao has escaped. Junior Brother Wang next to him nodded slightly, and looked at Lin Chen again in a blink of an eye, with a hint of killing intent in his expression. In the Black Lotus Mountains, it often happens that warriors with high cultivation levels kill warriors with low cultivation levels. After all, warriors who can make such a breakthrough here will gain more or less, and they can easily kill other warriors. Get all the gains of this warrior. However, as if he was anxious to find the murderer of Xiao Zian, Junior Brother Wang suppressed the murderous intention in his heart, turned around, and was about to leave. Wait a moment. At this moment, Senior Brother Yang, who had remained silent, suddenly said. Well, Senior Brother Yang, what's wrong? Did Senior Brother Yang discover something? It was obvious that Senior Brother Yang had a very high prestige in the hearts of the other 2, and his cultivation was also the most profound among the 3. Although the other 2 are also in the middle stage of Tiangang realm, it can be seen from their auras that they did not advance to the middle stage of Tiangang realm as long as Senior Brother Yang. Senior Brother Yang looked at Lin Chen with a solemn expression, sneered, and suddenly said, Boy, you are very good. In the middle of the 8th level of the body refining realm, you have the strength to kill the 4th level high-level Black Panther. Hearing this, the other 2 people were shocked, and then they discovered the body of the 4th level high-level Black Panther next to Lin Chen. Previously, they had focused on tracking down the person who killed Xiaoxian, but they did not pay much attention to this detail. At this moment, when senior brother Yang reminded them, the 2 men immediately showed solemn expressions on their faces. Lin Chen was only at the middle stage of the 8th level of the body refining realm, and he killed this 4th level high-level monster. Moreover, from the looks of it, the big Black Panther seems to have been killed in one blow. The latter had no power to resist at all, and you must know that the 4th level high-level monsters are comparable to the warriors in the middle stage of Tiangang realm, and their strength is extremely powerful. Although the 3 of them can also do this, their cultivation is after all, they are in the middle stage of Tiangang realm, and their strength is relatively stronger. But Lin Chen is different. His cultivation level is only in the middle stage of the 8th level of body refining realm. His cultivation level was so low, but he killed a 4th level high-level monster instantly. After hearing what senior brother Yang said, Lin Chendang remained expressionless and said indifferently, "Thank you for the compliment." Senior brother Yang snorted and said, "Boy, you are not qualified for me to praise you. But you have such strength and you are within our search area, so, boy, you can die today." As he spoke, senior brother Yang suddenly pulled out the long sword with a loud bang. After hearing what senior brother Yang said, the other 2 people immediately looked shocked and said, "Senior brother Yang, you mean, he is the murderer who killed junior brother Xiao?" Although Lin Chen killed the 4th level high-level demonic beast, the Black Panther, his cultivation level was only at the mid-8th level of the body refining realm. No matter how you looked at it, it didn't look like he could deal with the sect's genius disciples like Xiaoxian. People, what's more, they know very well that as a genius disciple of the sect, Xiaoxian has many ways to save his life, and he has even mastered the most powerful real skill among the secret skills. Even when facing late-stage Tiangang realm warriors, he still has the strength to fight. Senior brother Yang sneered and said, "I didn't say that he was the murderer who killed junior brother Xiao, but this guy has such strength and he was not far from where junior brother Xiao was killed. He is very suspicious." After a pause, senior brother Yang continued, "What's more, if junior brother Xiao was killed this time, if we don't find a murderer to explain, I'm afraid we will inevitably be punished when we return to the sect. Although this boy's cultivation is a little low, he has the ability to kill level 4 high-level monsters is acceptable even in a sect." After hearing what senior brother Yang said, the other 2 people immediately looked at each other. After a moment, they looked at Lin Chen with murderous looks on their faces. "Boy, if you dare to kill junior brother Xiao, you will risk your life. You will definitely die today." These 2 people didn't talk nonsense. Although they were not sure that Lin Chen was the murderer of junior brother Xiao, they still made the decision to treat Lin Chen as the murderer and kill him before returning to the sect. Seeing this scene, Lin Chen's face suddenly turned cold. He did kill Xiaoxian, but before these 3 people could determine whether Lin Chen was the murderer, they planned to kill him and take his body back to the sect to explain to the sect. Obviously, these 3 people were not good people. Lin Chen looked at the 3 of them expressionlessly and said softly, "You can leave now before it's too late." The 3 of them were stunned. They didn't expect Lin Chen to be so arrogant and actually asked the 3 of them to leave. You must know that the 3 of them are in the middle stage of Tiangang realm, and Lin Chen is only in the middle stage of the 8th level of body refining realm. Being so looked down upon by a warrior who was in the middle stage of the 8th level of the body refining realm made the 3 of them look a little angry. The burly young man growled and said, "Boy, if you don't have the strength, don't talk too much and risk your life." As he spoke, the burly young man swept out his leg and kicked Lin Chen hard. On the other side, senior brother Yang and another person also used martial arts to attack Lin Chen from different directions. Thunderbolt. Lingxue swordsmanship. Lin Chen has the ability to kill level 4 high-level monsters instantly, and these 3 people don't dare to be careless. Seeing this, Lin Chen immediately swiped the long stick in his hand forward, blowing up a strong wind with great power. Bang bang bang. The next moment, 3 dull voices sounded, and the burly young man who attacked first was hit by Lin Chen's long stick. He immediately screamed and violently retreated backwards. The burly young man used leg skills to attack Lin Chen, not cold weapons. As soon as he was hit by Lin Chen's long stick, his body suddenly retreated. At the same time, his feet kept trembling. He only felt a numbness in his thighs and it was difficult to stand. On the other side, Lin Chen's long stick continued to sweep away, attacking together with the weapons of the other two people. Immediately afterwards, the bodies of the two men retreated violently, but they did not temporarily lose the ability to fight like the burly young man before. Lin Chen, on the other hand, took more than 10 steps back before he stopped. This kid is weird. If he hadn't used his martial arts skills in that blow just now, I'm afraid I would have been seriously injured. Senior Brother Wang looked at Lin Chen with a serious expression and said in surprise. Senior Brother Yang also nodded. He glanced at the burly young man. After a short rest, the burly young man's thighs gradually disappeared and his fighting ability had been restored. Senior Brother Yang snorted. No matter how weird he is, if he encounters the three of us today, he will definitely die. Come together and kill him. With that said, Senior Brother Yang took the lead and attacked Lin Chen first. This time, the three of them did not intend to fight Lin Chen anymore. They wanted to fight quickly. Everyone used their full strength. The true energy in their bodies surged out. For a moment, the true energy flowed in this dense forest. Extremely brilliant and dazzling. Drink. Seeing this, Lin Chen let out a low drink. His body trembled, and his skin immediately emitted a bronze light, like a bronze man with a golden body. Immediately afterwards, Lin Chen raised the long stick in his hand and hit Senior Brother Yang hard. You must know that Lin Chen has practiced the bronze body refining technique to the 3rd level and is reborn from broken copper. His fist power is as high as 18,000 kilograms. At this moment, all this huge power is acting on the long stick, and the long stick is extremely hard. If it were smashed down, even a top-level 4th-level monster would die of hatred. Obviously, Lin Chen used all his strength in this attack. Boom. The long stick hit the long sword of Senior Brother surnamed Yang. The next moment, the latter only felt a huge force coming from the long sword in his hand. His face changed, he opened his mouth and spit out a mouthful of blood, and kicked his body backwards. Back away violently. Click. At the same time, the long sword in his hand seemed unable to withstand such a huge force. After intersecting with the long stick, there was a sound of breaking dead branches, and it broke into several pieces. Senior Brother Yang. Senior Brother Yang, are you okay? Seeing this scene, the faces of the burly young man and Senior Brother named Wang changed, and they said nervously, but what's more on their faces is horror and disbelief. The two of them knew the strength of Senior Brother Yang very well. Even among the middle-level Tiangang realm warriors at the same level, few were his opponents. But at this moment, he was fighting against Lin Chen, who was at the 8th middle level of the body refining realm. He was beaten until he vomited blood and his body retreated violently. Even Senior Brother Yang was no match for Lin Chen, so how could the two of them be able to deal with Lin Chen? Senior Brother Yang wiped away the blood from the corner of his mouth and said, "What a powerful force. If I guessed correctly, you must have practiced body training techniques. As far as I know, Junior Brother Xiao has also practiced body training techniques. General Tiangang, even middle-level warriors have a hard time dealing with him. You are the one who killed Junior Brother Xiao." After listening to Senior Brother Yang's words, Lin Chen nodded expressionlessly. As for why he killed Xiao Ziyan, Lin Chen didn't bother to say. Xiao Ziyan wanted to kill him. If he didn't kill him, then Lin Chen would die. Seeing Lin Chen's affirmation, Senior Brother Yang and the other three suddenly looked ugly. They didn't expect that Lin Chen really killed Xiao Ziyan. The three of them looked at each other, and Senior Brother Yang suddenly said coldly to Lin Chen, "Boy, you are very strong. But today, you still have to die. Two junior brothers, follow me to perform Tianyin combination attack." Upon hearing this, the two people beside him thought, and a spear suddenly appeared in their hands, with a deep chill, and the tip of the spear was pointed straight at Lin Chen. Chapter 87 Proof. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Tianyun combined attack. Hearing this, Lin Chen couldn't help but narrow his eyes. The Tianyun combined attack that senior brother Yang mentioned is a combined attack martial arts. Lin Chen was a martial arts master in his previous life. He had seen several martial artists practicing combined attack techniques together. This combined attack technique is extremely powerful. Once it is performed, its power can even suppress people who have surpassed their own cultivation. The three senior brothers Yang in front of him, their cultivation is the middle stage of Tiangang realm. The power of the martial arts they jointly displayed is probably comparable to the late stage of Tiangang realm, or even the peak martial artists, and is more powerful than some secret techniques. Boy, die, senior brother Yang roared, and together with the other two, they swung the spears in their hands at the same time and stabbed Lin Chen directly. As the spears in the hands of the three of them swung, an invisible pressure immediately enveloped Lin Chen. Seeing this, the long stick in Lin Chen's hand also moved. The copper energy in his body was released, and passed through his hands to the long stick in his hand. This long stick was extremely hard. If Lin Chen used all his strength to attack any of the three of them, the latter would feel overwhelmed. Bang 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 bang, as Lin Chen's long stick fell, a series of dull sounds were heard immediately, and sparks flew in the air. In just a moment, the two sides fought dozens of moves, and the fight was extremely fierce. Perhaps because of the absence of Xiao Zian, the power of the Tianyun combined attack performed by the three of them was not as great as Lin Chen imagined, but even so, if it were replaced by other mid-stage Tiangang realm warriors, they would probably have been torn apart after such a long battle. Humph. After another blow, Lin Chen's body retreated several steps, and he couldn't help but groan, and his figure was a little embarrassed. After all, the cultivation of these three people was much higher than his, and they were also performing combined attack martial arts. Such a crazy fight was too much for Lin Chen to bear. On the other side, the three brothers surnamed Yang looked at each other with even more shock when they saw the somewhat embarrassed Lin Chen. The Tianyun joint attack they performed was actually performed by four people together, but Xiao Zian was dead at this moment, and one person was missing, so the power of the Tianyun joint attack they performed was weaker, but even so, its power was still comparable to the attack power of a warrior in the late Tiangang realm. However, under their crazy attack, Lin Chen still resisted for so long, and it seemed that he still had some strength left. At this time, the burly young man jumped up suddenly and stabbed Lin Chen fiercely with his spear. Brothers surnamed Yang and Wang also raised their spears and attacked again. Seeing this scene, Lin Chen's eyes were stern. The cultivation of these three people was much higher than his. The power of the joint attack performed by them was so powerful that even Lin Chen could hardly shake them. There is only one way to defeat them. Defeat them one by one. However, if he did so, Lin Chen would also be attacked by the other two. At that time, although he could break the combined martial arts of the three, he would inevitably be injured. Without time to think about it, Lin Chen fixed his eyes on the burly young man. The burly young man practiced leg skills, and his strength was the lowest among the three, and he was also the easiest to attack. Lin Chen's mind moved, and he immediately swung the long stick in his hand and smashed it hard at the burly young man. Bang! Lin Chen's long stick attacked the burly young man's spear, and immediately, the latter felt a huge force surging out. His face couldn't help but change, and his body retreated backwards. At the same time, the long spears of the other two also attacked, and the long spears pierced Lin Chen's back accurately. Dong dong. As if it was a hammer drum, two dull sounds rang out. Under these two blows, Lin Chen couldn't help but groan, and only felt a pain in his back, but despite this, Lin Chen did not stop. On the contrary, he quickly swung the long stick in his hand and smashed it again towards the burly young man who was retreating violently. Seeing this scene, the faces of senior brother Yang and senior brother Wang changed drastically. Be careful. Little thief, stop! The burly young man was even more terrified, and his eyes were full of despair. Bang! The next moment, Lin Chen's long stick hit the burly young man. The burly young man screamed, and his body was smashed into the ground. He twitched slightly and died on the spot. Hiss! Little thief, give me your life! Seeing Lin Chen smash the burly young man to death with a stick, Senior Brother Yang and Senior Brother Wang looked a little crazy. Who would have thought that Lin Chen's strength was so strong that the three of them not only failed to kill Lin Chen, but let the latter kill the burly young man among them? The two attacked quickly, and the spears appeared behind Lin Chen in an instant, trying to kill Lin Chen in one fell swoop. With two bangs, the spears hit Lin Chen's back, and his body couldn't help but take 2 steps forward, almost falling down. Hiss! Hit by Senior Brother Yang and Senior Brother Wang, Lin Chen immediately took a breath of cold air, and felt unbearable pain and burning on his back. After the spears hit Lin Chen, the former two had red eyes, raised them again, and were about to attack Lin Chen. However, at this time, Lin Chen also woke up from the residual strength of killing the burly young man before, and performed the Chunyang step. His body appeared hundreds of meters away in the blink of an eye. Then, Lin Chen's feet were full, and the whole person, like an eagle, pounced fiercely on Senior Brother Yang. At the same time, he raised the long stick in his hand high, and smashed it down hard not far from Senior Brother Yang. This time, Lin Chen's target was Senior Brother Wang, whose strength was second only to Senior Brother Yang. If Lin Chen had difficulty dealing with the 3 Tianling Sect disciples before, but now one of them was killed, the power of the Tianyin combined attack martial arts performed by the remaining 2 was greatly reduced, so they could not stop Lin Chen's attack. Bang! Another dull sound rang out. Ah! No! Senior Brother Wang was slightly stronger than the burly young man. He used the spear in his hand to resist Lin Chen for a breath, and died on the spot after a scream. Damn it! Seeing this scene, the face of the last Senior Brother Yang suddenly changed, and his originally red eyes gradually became a little flustered and terrified at this moment. The 3 of them joined forces to perform the Tianyin joint attack. The power of this joint attack martial arts is much stronger than ordinary martial arts, but they still failed to kill Lin Chen. More importantly, the 3 of them joined forces were not Lin Chen's opponents. At this moment, the burly young man and Senior Brother Wang both died at Lin Chen's hands, so Senior Brother Yang was the only one left, and he was even less of a match for Lin Chen. Senior Brother Yang's face turned livid and pale in an instant, looking at Lin Chen very unpleasantly, as if he wanted to see through Lin Chen. On the other side, Lin Chen looked at this man expressionlessly, with a calm expression, and then he slowly raised the long stick in his hand. No! Stop! Seeing this, Senior Brother Yang's expression became more panicked, but as soon as his voice fell, Lin Chen's long stick hit Senior Brother Yang. The latter didn't even have a chance to resist and died on the spot. Lin Chen still had a blank expression on his face. In the martial arts world, the fittest survive. The weak are destined to become stepping stones for others. If Lin Chen had not been stronger than these 3 people before, the person who fell to the ground at this moment would not be Senior Brother Yang and the other 2, but Lin Chen. However, although he killed these 3 inner disciples of the Tianling Sect, Lin Chen was also injured. His back was stabbed several times by the spear, and blood flowed. It was so terrifying. If Lin Chen had not practiced the ancient bronze body refining technique to the 3rd level of broken copper rebirth, these few shots alone would have been enough to kill Lin Chen. Lin Chen collected the 3 spears on the ground, and searched for a large number of low-grade spirit stones on these 3 people. After searching for more than 10 bottles of elixirs, he took out the poison and cleaned up the bodies of the 3 people. After doing this, Lin Chen turned to clean up the 4th level high-level monster Big Black Panther that he had killed before. Lin Chen was lucky to get a 4th level high-level monster inner pill. After putting away all the things, Lin Chen exerted his strength with his legs, stepped on the Chunyang step, and walked quickly towards the outskirts of the Maoyan Mountains. 2 days later, Lin Chen went straight to the Wang family in Tianling town, where the Wang family had issued the caravan mission. The mission that Lin Chen accepted this time was to protect the Wang family caravan from entering the cold pond to take the ice stone. Although the mission has been completed now, Lin Chen also needs the Wang family to issue a certificate before he can return to the sect to hand over the mission. It was noon at this time, and the Wang family compound was quite lively. Since the last time they went to the cold pond to pick the ice stone, the Wang family earned a lot of low-grade spirit stones, and the invisible power has increased a lot, so more people came to the Wang family than before. there were 2 warriors in the early 3rd level of the body refining realm standing at the gate of the compound. Lin Chen walked up to them and said, "Please inform Wang Tianming, the elder of the Wang family, that Lin Chen is back." "Lin Chen? Are you the Lin Chen who cut off the tail of the caravan?" Hearing Lin Chen's words, the 2 were stunned at first, and then looked at Lin Chen with some excitement. Lin Chen played an indispensable role in the safe return of the Wang family caravan to Tianling town. In particular, after picking the ice stone, when everyone was retreating due to the battle between the little violent bear and the 4-armed demon ape, Lin Chen stayed alone at that time, which was equivalent to cutting off the tail of the caravan. At that time, there were many monsters around, and there were 2 level 4 top monsters. Those who stayed behind were also risking their lives. After the caravan returned to Tianling town, Lin Chen's story was spread, so many Wang family guards were quite familiar with Lin Chen's name. However, everyone was more grateful that the Wang family was able to turn around from the brink of extinction, and even made a lot of profits, and increased its power invisibly. Lin Chen helped a lot in this. Lin Chen nodded slightly and said, "I am Lin Chen. Please wait a moment, sir, we will invite the elders over immediately." Hearing this, the 2 looked even more excited and spoke immediately. After obtaining Lin Chen's consent, the 2 immediately walked into the courtyard and went to invite Wang Tianming, the elder of the Wang family. It didn't take long for Wang Tianming to appear in front of Lin Chen, and he was accompanied by the head of the Wang family. When the 2 saw Lin Chen, they all had a look of disbelief in their eyes. They originally thought that Lin Chen would never get out of the Malian mountains again after leaving the team. However, they didn't expect that although some time had passed, Lin Chen still appeared in front of them alive. More importantly, this time, Lin Chen's cultivation level was 1 level higher than before, and his aura was much more stable and powerful. Chapter 88, Exchange of Skills. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Both of them were shrewd people, and they quickly recovered from their surprise. The head of the Wang family bowed and thanked, "Thank you, Mr. Lin, for helping the Lin family overcome difficulties." Lin Chen smiled faintly. Since he accepted this task, it was natural for him to complete it. He nodded slightly and said, "Please give me a certificate, Mr. Patriarch." Returning to the sect, Lin Chen also needed a certificate to hand over this task, otherwise Lin Chen accepted this task, and the sect could not be sure whether he had really completed it. After listening to Lin Chen's words, the head of the Wang family nodded. He waved his hand and took out a certificate note and a ring, saying, "Mr. Lin, this is the certificate. In addition, please accept the things in this ring." Lin Chen smiled and took it without pretense. Before the caravan was in the Malian mountains, Lin Chen contributed the most. It can be said that if Lin Chen was not there for this mission, it would be almost impossible for them to complete the mission and successfully return from the Malian mountains. Lin Chen released his soul power, covering the ring, and immediately saw what was inside. There were more than 10,000 low-grade spirit stones and 10 bottles of medium-grade chi-gathering pills in this ring, which was an unexpected harvest. After Lin Chen put away the ring, he was about to say goodbye and leave. At this time, Wang Tianming, the elder of the Wang family, suddenly said, "Mr. Lin, please wait a moment. This is the soft armor made from the scales of the snowy mang." Hearing this, Lin Chen turned his head and looked at Wang Tianming. He saw that Wang Tianming was holding a silver-white soft armor in his hand. It looked a bit like snake scales and was very soft. I guess the defense would not be too weak. Seeing this scene, Lin Chen remembered that when he killed the snowy mang before, Wang Tianming asked him for the scales of the snowy mang, saying that he wanted to make a soft armor for Lin Chen. If Wang Tianming hadn't taken it out at this time, Lin Chen would have forgotten it. However, he was still surprised at Wang Tianming's credibility. After all, when the caravan left, Lin Chen stayed alone. At that time, there were so many monsters around the cold pond, and those who stayed would risk their lives. But even so, Wang Tianming still made the soft armor as promised. "Thank you, Elder." Lin Chen nodded, took the soft armor, and then put it on. Wang Tianming obviously made it according to Lin Chen's figure. This soft armor fits Lin Chen very well. After putting on clothes, from the outside, it is impossible to tell that Lin Chen is wearing soft armor inside. Wang Tianming laughed and said, Mr. Lin, this soft armor is made of the scales of the snow mang as the main material. It is also mixed with a piece of top-grade ice stone and half a pound of purple sand, which greatly increases the defense of this soft armor. It is difficult for ordinary weapons to break the defense of this soft armor. Both the top-grade ice stone and the purple sand are extremely precious materials for refining weapons. After listening to Wang Tianming's words, Lin Chen nodded and said, Thank you very much, both of you, goodbye. Farewell. Mr. Lin, take care. That the head of the Wang family and Wang Tianming both nodded and bowed to Lin Chen. Lin Chen nodded, led the Qinggu horse that the Wang family had prepared for him, and then he jumped on the back of the Qinggu horse and galloped away, no words along the way. In the blink of an eye, 2 days later, Tianji Sect. After Lin Chen returned the Qinggu horse to the sect, he went straight to the inner gate mission hall. The mission hall is where the inner disciples of the Tianji Sect accept missions. A group of disciples gather here every moment, either to hand over completed missions or to accept missions of a star level suitable for their cultivation. Lin Chen handed the certificate given to him by the head of the Wang family to the elder of the mission hall. The elder read it once, confirmed that it was correct, and nodded and said, Not bad. Lin Chen, although you basically only do one mission every month during this period, you have completed each mission very well, and the completed tasks are all of a relatively high level. The elder paused and continued, This 3-star guard mission will reward a total of 200 contribution points and 7,000 low-grade spirit stones. Hearing this, Lin Chen couldn't help but smile. After adding contribution points to Lin Chen's nameplate, the elder smiled and said, Lin Chen, now your contribution points are a total of 1,238. I remember that you were the 3rd place in the last Tianluo Mountain Secret Realm. You can now go to the library pavilion to exchange for a low-level Xian-level technique. The top 3 in the Tianluo Mountain Secret Realm can exchange for techniques at a price lower than the original contribution points. Lin Chen is the 3rd. He only needs to pay 2/3 of the contribution points of the low-level Xian-level skills to exchange for a low-level Xian-level skills. During this period, Lin Chen continued to do tasks and earned a certain amount of contribution points, which can be exchanged for a low-level Xian-level skills. Many disciples around were still choosing tasks, but when they heard the elder's words, they immediately turned their heads and looked at Lin Chen with envy. Xian-level skills are extremely precious. Even the inner disciples of the sect find it difficult to raise enough contribution points to exchange for a low-level Xian-level skills. In the inner sect of Tianji Sect, there are very few disciples who can learn low-level Xian-level skills. Each of them has great potential and is a well-known figure in the inner sect. Lin Chen can raise enough contribution points to exchange for a low-level Xian-level skills, which means that he has great potential and may even become one of the top 10 inner disciples in the future. Lin Chen smiled and nodded, bowed and said, Thank you, elder. Well, go ahead. The elder was full of smiles. The fact that the sect could produce such a disciple meant that the sect was in its heyday. Under such circumstances, the status of Tianji Sect in Yannan Territory would be even more difficult to shake. Nodding slightly, Lin Chen put away the nameplate, turned around and walked out of the mission hall, and then walked straight to the library. In Tianji Sect, even if the outer disciples had contribution points, they did not have the authority to exchange for low-level Xian-level skills. The inner disciples had much greater authority than the outer disciples, and they could exchange for more skills and martial arts than the outer disciples. Lin Chen entered the inner sect in order to exchange for higher-level martial arts and skills. However, although he entered the inner sect, he did not have enough contribution points. However, after doing tasks continuously for several months, the contribution points he raised had reached a certain level. With enough contribution points, Lin Chen would naturally not miss the opportunity to exchange for Xian-level skills. Arriving at the first floor hall of the library, the old man in white robe guarding the library saw Lin Chen coming and smiled immediately. He said with a smile, Not bad, Lin Chen. After a few months, your cultivation has reached the middle stage of the 8th level of the body refining realm. What kind of skills do you want to exchange for this time when you come to the library? The skills in the library are divided into yellow level, mysterious level and earth level. Each level is divided into 4 levels: low level, middle level, high level and top level. With the different levels, the power they exert is also very different. Similarly, the contribution points required are also very different. Lin Chen smiled and said, "Reply to the elder, this time I plan to exchange for a low-level mysterious level skill." Contribution points can be exchanged for skills or martial arts, but the Qingming Xianyang Gong that Lin Chen practiced is only suitable for laying the foundation for the body refining realm. Now his cultivation is the middle stage of the 8th level of the body refining realm, and he is not far from the peak of the 9th level of the body refining realm. Therefore, Lin Chen plans to choose a better skill to prepare for a breakthrough to the Tiangang realm. However, the old man in white robe was slightly surprised when he heard Lin Chen's words, and said, "Lin Chen, the minimum contribution points for exchanging low-level Xian level skills are 1,000. Do you have it?" Lin Chen smiled, took out the nameplate recording the contribution points and the reward token for his 3rd place in the Tianluo Mountain secret realm, and handed them to the old man in white robe. The old man in white robe looked at Lin Chen suspiciously, and then cast his eyes on the nameplate. However, when he saw it, he couldn't help showing a look of surprise on his face. 1,238 contribution points, Lin Chen, you can exchange for a low-level Xian level skill. The old man in white robe looked slightly surprised and said, "In addition, you are the 3rd place in the Tianluo Mountain secret realm, and you have never used this token before, so you only need to pay 2/3 of the contribution points for the low-level Xian level skills you exchange this time." Lin Chen nodded and said, "Thank you very much, elder." After a slight bow, Lin Chen turned around and walked to the stairs of the library. Looking at Lin Chen's back, the old man in white robe smacked his lips in disbelief and said, "This kid has great potential. He is only at the 8th level of the body refining realm, but he has collected more than 1,000 contribution points in a short period of time. Moreover, when I first saw him 5 months ago, he was only at the peak of the 4th level of the body refining realm. Not only is his cultivation speed fast, but his comprehension is also excellent. He has successfully cultivated the 7-star chain sword, which is rarely cultivated successfully in the outer sect, and the same is true for the phantom sword." Thinking of this, the old man in white robe suddenly showed a faint smile at the corner of his mouth, and his expression was thoughtful. The 3rd floor of the library is a place where martial arts and techniques of Xian level and above are treasured. Many inner disciples rarely enter the 3rd floor once. Lin Chen couldn't help but feel excited. Since he cultivated the low-level Xian level martial arts such as the ancient bronze body refining art, he has been yearning for the low-level Xian level techniques and martial arts. After working hard for so long, he can finally exchange for the low-level Xian level techniques. Lin Chen exhaled slightly and walked towards the 3rd floor. The Tiangang realm inner sect disciple who was standing by the door on the 2nd floor was slightly stunned when he saw Lin Chen standing at the stairs on the 3rd floor. He was about to scold Lin Chen, but he saw him walk straight in without any obstacles, and he couldn't help but be stunned. He blinked and said in disbelief, "How is this possible? He is only in the middle stage of the 8th level of the body refining realm, and he has collected thousands of contribution points to exchange for low-level Xian level exercises and martial arts." Immediately, this Tiangang realm inner sect disciple couldn't help but show envy and jealousy in his eyes. Lin Chen was only in the body refining realm, and he could choose Xian level exercises, while they, the inner sect disciples, had never entered the 3rd floor of the library once. 3rd floor, Lin Chen went straight to the bookshelf where the exercises were placed. Pure Yuan Gong, a low-level Xian level exercise. This exercise is divided into 5 levels. When it is cultivated to the extreme, the true qi in the body is extremely pure, and the power is stronger than the exercises of the same level. Turning to the first page, he saw the introduction of this exercise. Without hesitation, Lin Chen immediately turned to the second page and started reading. After a moment, he raised his head and thought to himself with excitement, "No wonder so many people are flocking to Xian level techniques. The speed of practicing Xian level low-level techniques to refine the spiritual energy of heaven and earth is incredibly fast. This alone is far superior to Huan level techniques." Chapter 89 True Lotus Heart Sutra. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Suppressing the excitement in his heart, Lin Chen picked up another secret book and read it. Xiantianjing, a low-level Xian-level technique, extremely refined and possessing the power of fire. The Mahayana spirit technique is a low-level Xian-level skill. This skill absorbs the spiritual energy of heaven and earth at a speed that is rarely matched by other skills of the same level. Little Xianyang Kung Fu, a low-level technique at the Xian level. It reaches the highest level of Yang and requires the body of a child. Xuanwuju, Xian-level low-level skills. Tianji Sect is one of the 5 great sects in the Yannan region. It has a huge collection of Xian-level skills. Each skill has its own characteristics. When practiced to the extreme, it is extremely powerful. There are also many partial skills. Lin Chen was dazzled by the sight, however, Lin Chen was not in a hurry. There was no need to rush when choosing a technique. After all, the technique he needed to choose must be the most suitable for him, and only the most suitable technique for himself can be cultivated to exert its power. Time passed little by little. Half an hour later, Lin Chen had a small pile of secret books placed in front of him, each one containing a low-level Xian-level technique. If other inner disciples saw Lin Chen displaying low-level Xian-level skills like this, they would definitely shout angrily. Xian-level skills are extremely precious, how can they be thrown away casually? But Lin Chen couldn't care so much at the moment. He picked up a secret book and read it again. Although each of the dozens of exercises he had read before was very powerful, fast in absorbing the spiritual energy of the world, or very powerful, Lin Chen felt that none of them was the most suitable for him. The secret book that Lin Chen was holding now looked like other secret books and was quite old. Lin Chen didn't look too closely at it. He turned to the first page and read it carefully. True Lotus Heart Technique, a low-level Xian-level skill, is famous for its ability to quickly refine the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. It is divided into 6 levels. Each time you increase one level, you can use the true energy in the Dantian to cultivate a lotus heart. After practicing to the 6th level, the 5 lotuses merge into one and become a true lotus. Note, once you reach the 6th level of cultivation, the power of the true lotus you have developed is comparable to that of a true Tao realm warrior. Seeing this, Lin Chen couldn't help but his eyes lit up. Okay. It's you, that this Xian-level low-level skill has been cultivated to the extreme, and the power of the true lotus produced can be compared to a single blow from a warrior in the true Tao realm. There is no doubt that its power is absolutely top-notch among the same level skills. In addition, this martial art is also the most suitable for Lin Chen to practice. Because of the little cauldron in his mind, Lin Chen took pills and practiced with spirit stones. Except for rare cases, he almost did not need to absorb them himself. Instead, he was absorbed and purified by the little cauldron independently. He only needed to refine them. It's just the purified spiritual energy of heaven and earth. As for this martial art, in addition to its powerful power, its greatest special feature is the speed at which it can refine the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. There is no doubt that it is the most suitable for Lin Chen. After rearranging the secret books on the ground, Lin Chen took the secret book of the True Lotus Heart Technique and walked slowly downstairs. The disciple of the Tianling Territory sect who had marveled at Lin Chen going up to the 3rd floor was still standing not far from the corridor. When he saw Lin Chen walking down, his eyes lit up, a look of envy appeared on his face, and he couldn't help but say, "This junior brother, what kind of Xian-level low-level technique did you choose?" Hearing this, Lin Chen couldn't help but be slightly startled, then a smile appeared on his face, and he said with a smile, "True Lotus Heart Technique." With that said, Lin Chen continued towards the 1st floor. True Lotus Heart Technique. This Tianling realm sect disciple murmured in his mouth, his eyes could not hide his jealousy, and then suddenly turned into excitement, thinking to himself, it must be an extremely powerful technique. No matter what, the next I will work hard to complete the sect's mission, strive to collect enough contribution points as soon as possible, and redeem a Xian-level low-level technique. No matter what this disciple of the Tianling Territory sect thought, Lin Chen had already walked downstairs with the secret book of the True Lotus Heart Technique and came to the old man in white robe. The white-robed old man still had a smile on his face and said, "Let me see, what kind of skill did you choose?" As he said that, he took the Xian level low-level skills secret book in Lin Chen's hand and started to read it. Immediately afterwards, the white-robed old man raised his head again, and said with surprise and weirdness in his eyes, "Lin Chen, you seem to like to choose exercises and martial arts that are particularly difficult to practice. The same goes for the Phantom Sword and the 7-star chain sword last time." Hearing this, Lin Chen couldn't help but be shocked. The martial arts he chose were the most suitable for him to practice. In fact, Lin Chen didn't know how difficult it was to practice the martial arts he chose. Seeing the look of astonishment in Lin Chen's eyes, the old man in white robe couldn't help but shook his head and said, "Lin Chen, don't look at this true lotus heart technique. After practicing it to the 6th level, it is very powerful. But in our Tianji Sect, there are very few people who can practice this technique to the 4th level, and only a disciple who can practice it to the 5th level did it 100 years ago. I advise you to change your technique, otherwise you will spend thousands of contribution points but fail to master this technique." Obviously, the old man in white robe had no confidence in Lin Chen practicing this true lotus heart art. After listening to the words of the old man in white robe, Lin Chen shook his head slightly. Although the true lotus heart art is difficult to practice, Lin Chen is confident that he can master it. What's more, when he chose the fantasy sword, the old man in white robe didn't believe that he could do it. Successful cultivation. As a result, Lin Chen had reached Shenzhou in less than 2 months, and because he also practiced the bronze body refining technique, the power of the phantom sword he displayed was even more powerful than Shenzhou. "Thank you for your kindness, Elder. I am confident that I can successfully practice this technique." Lin Chen shook his head and said. Hearing this, the old man in white robe just shook his head and said nothing more. In fact, he also had some doubts in his heart. Whether Lin Chen could practice this technique. After all, the previous phantom sword was a lesson. But when he thought of the difficulty of practicing the 5th and 6th levels of this technique, he lost confidence in Lin Chen. Since Tianji Sect obtained this technique, there are only a few disciples who can practice it to the 6th level and practice the true lotus. All of these people are peerless geniuses. Although Lin Chen has some talent, he should still be a little behind these peerless geniuses. Lin Chen, the contribution points required to exchange for the true Lotus Heart Sutra are 1,650. You are the 3rd in the Tianluo Mountain Secret Realm, so you can exchange it at 2/3 of the price. The white-robed old man subtracted the contribution points from the nameplate and said, in other words, you need 1,100 contribution points to exchange for the true Lotus Heart Sutra. Okay, Lin Chen, now there are 138 contribution points left in your nameplate. After doing this, the white-robed old man registered the true Lotus Heart Sutra in the book, and then handed the nameplate and the secret book of the true Lotus Heart Sutra to Lin Chen. At the end, the white-robed old man said, Lin Chen, I won't say any more. If it doesn't work, change to another technique. In addition, remember that the secret book in the library can only be borrowed for 3 months. During these 3 months, you must remember the mental diagram of the exercise of this technique and return the secret book within the deadline. Lin Chen nodded and said, Disciple has made a note. Thank you, Elder. After putting away the secret book and nameplate, Lin Chen turned and walked outside. After coming out of the library, Lin Chen went straight back to the courtyard. Lin Chen sat cross-legged on the bed, holding the secret book of the true Lotus Heart Sutra in his hands, and studied it carefully. Now that there was plenty of time, Lin Chen read it very carefully. Half an hour later, he raised his head and showed excitement on his face. The warriors in the body refining realm are in the period of laying the foundation, and the Tiangang realm is preparing for entering the true Dao realm. Only warriors in the true Dao realm can be considered truly powerful. This technique, when practiced to the 6th level, the true lotus is practiced, and the power is comparable to the attack of the warriors in the true Dao realm. Practicing the Green Lotus Heart Sutra to the 6th level, it is almost no problem to sweep the warriors in the Tiangang realm. That the power of the Green Lotus Heart Sutra is indeed extremely powerful, but such a powerful technique is rarely practiced by disciples in the inner sect of the Tianji Sect. The reason is because of the difficulty of practicing this technique. After all, if you want to exert the power of the Green Lotus Heart Sutra, the prerequisite is to practice this technique to the 6th level, and every level of this technique is extremely difficult, and the difficulty increases linearly as you go to the back. After memorizing the mental diagram of the Qinglian Heart Sutra, Lin Chen closed his eyes slightly and began to practice. The sign of the first level of the Qinglian Heart Sutra is the formation of a lotus heart in the dantian. Lin Chen flipped his hand, took out a medium-grade qi-gathering pill, and swallowed it. The pill entered his mouth and immediately turned into a huge spiritual energy of heaven and earth, flowing through the major meridians of his body. However, soon, a huge suction force came from his mind, and the spiritual energy of heaven and earth was absorbed completely in the blink of an eye. Seeing that the spiritual energy of heaven and earth in his body was absorbed by the small cauldron, Lin Chen flipped his hand, took out another medium-grade qi-gathering pill, and swallowed it again. Another spiritual energy of heaven and earth appeared, and soon, it was absorbed by the small cauldron again. At the same time, a pure spiritual energy of heaven and earth, but much less in quantity, was sprayed out from the small cauldron. Seeing this scene, Lin Chen closed his eyes and concentrated, and began to refine this extremely pure spiritual energy of heaven and earth with the true Lotus Heart Sutra. This true Lotus Heart technique is indeed a low-level Xian-level technique known for its fast refining speed. In almost a moment, he refined the pure spiritual energy of heaven and earth sprayed out of the small tripod. Its speed is several times faster than his practice of Qingming Xianyang Gong, and with the refining of this spiritual energy of heaven and earth, the true energy in Lin Chen's dantian has also been subtly improved. Taking out another medium-grade qi-gathering pill, Lin Chen swallowed it, and then used the true Lotus Heart technique to refine the pure spiritual energy of heaven and earth sprayed out of the small tripod again. After half a day of such a cycle, the true energy in Lin Chen's dantian actually reached the critical point of breakthrough. He was only one step away from advancing to the 8th late stage of the body refining realm. If others knew about Lin Chen's cultivation speed, they would definitely be shocked and ashamed. Feeling the changes in the true qi in his body, Lin Chen also showed a happy expression on his face. The true Lotus Heart technique is worthy of being a low-level Xian-level technique. The speed of refining the spiritual energy of heaven and earth is indeed extremely fast. Taking this opportunity, he broke through to the 8th late stage of the body refining realm in one fell swoop. Lin Chen gritted his teeth, flipped his hand, took out the qi-boosting pill he had obtained when he killed Shao Ziyan in the Maoyan Mountains, opened his mouth and swallowed one, and immediately, a huge, torrent-like spiritual energy of heaven and earth rushed straight into Lin Chen's major meridians. This spiritual energy of heaven and earth is more than the total spiritual energy of heaven and earth transformed by all the middle-grade qi-gathering pills that Lin Chen had taken before. As this spiritual energy of heaven and earth appeared in the major meridians, Lin Chen's face changed slightly, and he felt a dull pain in his meridians, as if he could not hold such a huge amount of spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Chapter 90 Heavenly Spirit Pill. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Qi-boosting pills are generally used by warriors in the early and middle stages of the Tiangang realm. With Lin Chen's current cultivation, taking qi-boosting pills to practice will naturally make the meridians in his body feel overwhelmed. As this spiritual energy of heaven and earth swept through the major meridians in his body, Lin Chen couldn't help but twist his face slightly. However, before Lin Chen felt uncomfortable for too long, a strong suction force suddenly came from his mind, directly absorbing all the spiritual energy of heaven and earth that the qi-boosting pill had transformed into. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth in the meridians disappeared, and the feeling of applause disappeared immediately, and Lin Chen couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Not daring to continue taking qi-boosting pills, Lin Chen silently waited for the small tripod to purify. About half an incense stick of time later, the small tripod in his mind suddenly spurted out a huge and pure spiritual energy of heaven and earth. This spiritual energy of heaven and earth is more pure than the spiritual energy of heaven and earth that Lin Chen had purified with the middle-grade qi-gathering pill before, and the amount is also larger. Lin Chen looked solemn, not daring to be careless. He immediately used the true Lotus Heart technique to quickly refine the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. The true energy in his body circulated again and again. As the number of cycles of the great circulation increased, he refined more and more spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Gradually, the true energy in Lin Chen's body became more mellow, and it increased rapidly in this short period of time. The true Lotus Heart technique is indeed a low-level Xian level skill. The speed of refining the spiritual energy of heaven and earth is extremely fast. In less than half a minute, Lin Chen refined all the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. When he finished refining all the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, a shocking momentum suddenly burst out from his body. Buzz, at the same time, a slight crisp sound sounded in his dantian, as if something broke. His spirit has reached a full state, and the whole person looks full of energy and spirit. Feeling this scene, Lin Chen's face immediately became happy. The 8th level of the body refining realm is the late stage, that the 8th level of the body refining realm is to refine the essence. Human warriors contain spirit, energy and spirit, and when the true energy and spirit in the warrior's body reach a certain level, the cultivation will break through. At this moment, Lin Chen's cultivation has broken through to the late 8th level of the body refining realm. His spirit is fuller, and the true energy in his body is also purer and stronger. Lin Chen's face was filled with a faint smile, and he thought to himself, the true Lotus Heart technique is worthy of being a low-level Xian level technique. If it were usual, I would probably spend a lot of effort to refine the purified Qi-enhancing pill heaven and earth spiritual energy. Using the true Lotus Heart technique to refine the heaven and earth spiritual energy, the speed is indeed much faster. There is no doubt that the true Lotus Heart technique is powerful. If the true Lotus Heart technique is cultivated to the 6th level, then Lin Chen's speed of refining the heaven and earth spiritual energy will be faster, and he can also release the true Lotus to attack the enemy. Thinking of this, Lin Chen couldn't help but feel moved, and couldn't help but close his eyes and look inward. The requirement for practicing the 1st level of the true Lotus Heart technique is to cultivate a Lotus Heart. When Lin Chen's cultivation level broke through just now, he heard a crisp sound in his dantian, with a slight change, but he didn't know what was going on. Lin Chen's consciousness was fixed in his dantian. At this moment, Lin Chen's dantian was like a lake, full of spiritual energy, and in the center of these spiritual energies, there was a Lotus Heart of a lotus. Well, Lotus Heart. Seeing this scene, Lin Chen was stunned, and then his face became ecstatic. This Lotus Heart is just like the Lotus Heart of the lotus you usually see. It looks only 1 inch in size, and a faint silver-white light flows all over the body, which is extremely gorgeous and dazzling. It is exactly the same as the 1st level described in the True Lotus Heart Technique's secret book. Lin Chen couldn't help laughing. This was his first time practicing the True Lotus Heart Technique. Not only did his cultivation level break through from the middle of the 8th level of the body refining realm to the late 8th level of the body refining realm, but he also practiced the 1st level of the True Lotus Heart technique and cultivated a Lotus Heart in his dantian. If the old man in white robe knew, he would be surprised, but more importantly, the Lotus Heart cultivated by the 1st level of the True Lotus Heart art is not as powerful as the 6th level of the True Lotus, but it can be comparable to the strongest attack of the middle stage of the Tiangang realm, which should not be underestimated. With this Lotus Heart, Lin Chen has another trump card, and his strength will be greatly improved. Suppressing the ecstasy in his heart, Lin Chen slowly stood up, prepared the food, and had a delicious meal. It was noon at this moment. Just after Lin Chen had lunch, suddenly, a ding-ding-dang-dang sound rang out in the courtyard. Someone is knocking on the door. Lin Chen was slightly stunned and turned his head to look into the courtyard. Lin Chen originally planned to retreat for a period of time, but he had just returned to the courtyard, so he had not had time to hang a sign at the door saying "Retreat, do not disturb." Unexpectedly, someone came to find him the next day. Lin Chen stood up, came to the courtyard, and opened the door. Then he saw Yuan Fei standing at the door. It was him who knocked on the door just now. "Lin Chen, what have you been doing recently? I haven't seen you for a long time." Yuan Fei smiled when he saw Lin Chen opening the door, but just as he said this, he suddenly said in surprise, "Hey, Lin Chen, you have broken through to the late 8th level of the body refining realm. What a fast cultivation speed." That the last time he met Yuan Fei, Lin Chen was still in the early 8th level of the body refining realm. The two of them had a fight, and Lin Chen won in the end. At that time, Yuan Fei had already reached the peak of the 9th level of the body refining realm. After not seeing him for a month, his cultivation level also broke through. At this moment, he is already a warrior in the early stage of the Tiangang realm. Lin Chen smiled and said, "You are not bad either. You broke through to the early stage of Tiangang realm in 1 month. This cultivation speed is considered fast in the inner sect." After hearing Lin Chen's words, Yuan Fei couldn't help but smile bitterly and scolded, "Originally, I thought that I could beat you in this breakthrough. Who knew that you also broke through 2 levels in a row? Your speed is really fast in the inner sect." Since the battle with Lin Chen, Yuan Fei has taken Lin Chen as his goal and worked hard to cultivate. After a month, his cultivation finally broke through and reached the early stage of Tiangang realm. You should know that many warriors at the peak of the 9th level of the body refining realm need a lot of time to break through to the early stage of Tiangang realm. Yuan Fei successfully broke through in just 1 month. His cultivation speed is definitely very fast in the inner sect, however, unexpectedly, Lin Chen's speed is faster than his. At this moment, his cultivation is already the late 8th level of the body refining realm. Yuan Fei broke through from the early 8th level of the body refining realm to the late 8th level of the body refining realm, which took several times the time of Lin Chen. Compared with this, Yuan Fei's cultivation speed, which he was a little proud of, was immediately suppressed by Lin Chen. Hearing this, Lin Chen smiled faintly and invited Yuan Fei to sit in the courtyard. After the two sat down, Yuan Fei said, "Lin Chen, I came to see you this time. Did I disturb your cultivation?" Yuan Fei knew that Lin Chen was usually practicing hard. There were very few disciples like Lin Chen who were immersed in cultivation almost every day, but it was precisely because of this that Yuan Fei admired Lin Chen very much. The latter's willpower was comparable to rock and was almost unshakable. Lin Chen waved his hand and said, "You also need to relax when practicing. Otherwise, it will be harmful to practice if you keep tense. If you don't look for me, I'll go out for a walk." "Okay." Yuan Fei laughed and said suddenly, "Lin Chen, do you still remember Pei Liangping?" Hearing this, Lin Chen was stunned. Pei Liangping was the second winner of their Tianluo Mountain secret realm. At that time, Lin Chen and Pei Liangping had a very unpleasant quarrel. With Pei Liangping's vengeful character, I'm afraid he will cause trouble for Lin Chen. It's just that Lin Chen has been either in seclusion or in the outer sect during this period, and rarely appears in front of the inner sect disciples. If Yuan Fei hadn't mentioned this person at this moment, Lin Chen would have forgotten about him. Lin Chen nodded and motioned Yuan Fei to continue. After a pause, Yuan Fei continued, "Well, I know you had a conflict with Li Shan from the inner sect, and during this period, Pei Liangping somehow hooked up with Li Shan, and the two even spread the word that they would join forces to teach you a lesson. I heard that Pei Liangping got a high-level elixir during this period, and his cultivation successfully broke through to the early stage of Tiangang realm a few days ago. With the addition of Li Shan, a veteran inner sect disciple, the two of them will be difficult to deal with together. And I'm afraid they will play dirty, which will be very disadvantageous to you." Yuan Fei finished speaking in one breath, looking at Lin Chen with a slightly solemn expression. Obviously, Yuan Fei was also quite wary of the combination of Li Shan and Pei Liangping. After hearing this, Lin Chen was stunned. In the secret realm of Tianluo Mountain, Lin Chen severely injured Li Chuan, Mao Yang and Yi Mingjun. It was normal that Li Shan did not hate Lin Chen, but Pei Liangping's actions surprised Lin Chen. After all, logically speaking, he and Pei Liangping did not have such a big hatred. At that time, the two of them were just competing for the second place in the Tianluo Mountain secret realm. After all, with strength, how could Lin Chen give up the competition for the first or second place? Unexpectedly, Pei Liangping was so narrow-minded and still held a grudge against Lin Chen. At this moment, he even joined forces with Li Shan to deal with Lin Chen. However, despite this, Lin Chen did not take these two people seriously. Although these two people are both warriors in the early stage of the Tiangang realm, their strength is still much worse than that of Lin Chen. Shaking his head, Lin Chen still said, "Thank you, Brother Yuan, for reminding me. I will be careful." Yuan Fei was thoughtful to tell Lin Chen about this. Seeing that Lin Chen had a plan in mind, Yuan Fei did not say more. He immediately laughed and said, "By the way, Lin Chen, I wonder if you are interested in the Tianling pill. Tianling pill. Lin Chen won the 3rd place in the Tianluo Mountain Secret Realm before, and the reward was a Dilling pill. The medicinal effect of Dilling pill is extremely strong and is most suitable for martial artists in the body refining realm to practice. The Tianling pill also has excellent medicinal effects, but the target of taking it is the warriors with cultivation above the early stage of the Tiangang realm. If a warrior who is about to break through to the middle stage of the Tiangang realm takes the Tianling pill, the chance of breaking through will be greatly increased. Such a pill can greatly shorten the time for a warrior to practice. Hearing Yuan Fei's words, Lin Chen's heart was also moved. Although the Tianling pill is suitable for Tiangang realm warriors, Lin Chen has a small cauldron to purify it, so he can also take it for practice. Well, high-level pills like the Tianling pill are basically controlled by the sects, and only some large auctions are auctioned. Yuan Fei continued, I came to you this time to invite you to participate in the auction together.